This is how I build a bespoke shed. You start off with a cutting list. Cutting the cladding. This is for, I always start off with the longest pieces. This is a 2.1 by 1.8, and it's what I call a reverse shed. So the long side I would normally have to the front with the door, maybe some windows. This particular one, the door's going on the short side, on the 1.8 side. Now I'm cutting the side cladding here. I deduct 90mm from the overall length, so it makes it 2010, and that's to allow the side walls to sit on the inside of the front and back walls. You got 45mm by 45mm frame, so deducting the 9mm, the 90mm allows this to sit inside, keeping the overall length on the sides to 2.1 metres. There I'm setting up a stopper. I just use clamps to clamp a piece of timber across. I've had different types of stoppers over the years, but as you're sliding the cladding up, they can move, and this is the best way. It doesn't move, so you get an accurate cut every time. Always just check the first one. Now for the left hand side, there's a couple of windows going in. So there'll be 12 of these at 2010. That's 10 below the window, and then 2 above. On the right hand side, they're the same length. There'll be 18 pieces of cladding for the right hand side. Now, I've skipped through that process because it went on a bit. Now I'm cutting the rails or the plates for the top and bottom. These will be the same size, so I can use the same stopper. There'll be 4 of these, 2 for the left, 2 for the right. And once I've done these, I'll change the stopper. I'll keep that stopper on there, and then I'll change, put one at 1.8 metres. There's my cutting list up on the wall there. I'm just looking at what the next cuts are. I always trim the cladding and the 2x2. I don't just grab a length and slide it up to the stopper, because they're never straight cuts on the ends. Takes a couple of seconds to do that on every bit, but it's worthwhile. I'm just trimming the end. So this is the 18 now for the right hand side. I'll cut this. You get the idea. And I'm marking that. That's probably the 1.8. See what I'm doing here, save moving this stopper. I've just slid that up to the stopper. I'll cut up a spacer. Oh, that flew off. Yeah, you just cut that spacer and then you put that onto the stopper. It saves moving it. You just put that there. And this is the rails. Because it's an Apex shed, there'd just be a rail or a plate. It'd just be one plate for the bottom of the front and one for the bottom of the back. And now I'm cutting the cladding. Yeah, there'll just be one for the front, because you've obviously got the door on the front. So that one will go across the top of the door. And there'll be 18 for the back. Oh, that packer I put on, that was to actually cut the studs, not the cladding. That weren't the 1.8. This is the 1.8 now I'm putting on. So that's another stopper. Just checking that's 1.8. Yeah, like I say, there'd be 18 of them for the back and 1 for the front. And then obviously the 2 rails, 1 for the back, 1 for the front. I've actually got a 12-metre cutting bench. So I've got a chop saw either end, and I do usually use both. I have a stopper set up on both. But in this case, I'm just sticking to one saw for recording purposes. Yeah, there was four studs. That bit I made a mistake on. There was 4 studs for the front. Yeah, and 4 studs for the back. I just equally spaced the back ones out, and the front ones, obviously you're working around the door. The door I'll do 700 wide, but I'll step each stud in left and right of the door 10mm. It saves putting a stop bead on when you swing the door. So the actual stud acts as the stop bead because it steps in 10mm either side from the cladding. The floor rails will be cut at 1.8 as well. I always have them going left to right as you look at the shed from the front. That way you don't see the ends of the rails on the underside of the floor. So you'll see the ends from the side. You don't want to block these in because it allows for airflow underneath the floor. There's 6 2x2s for the floor. all them offcuts, I'll use them shortly. I'll use them. There's very little waste if you work it out before you start. That's why I do a cutting list. But you've got 34 shorter pieces at 550 to go either side of the door. So it's 550 times 2 is 1 metre 100. Plus your 700 for the door gives you your 1.8. And then on the window side, which is the left side, you've got 12 pieces at 530 long. Basically, it's six strips of cladding for the height for the window. So they'll go either side, and then there's 2 windows, so you'll have a 45 stud running up in between the 2 windows, and then I'll just cut little 45mm bits of cladding just to cover that stud. The windows are sort of joinery made, and they've got a rebate on them, so you push them in and the rebate sits over the top of the cladding. Yeah, the height for the side walls are 2 metres 30. So them studs I did earlier were 1940. But this is extra high. The customer for this is quite a tall fella. So I've just given him a bit of extra height. It makes no difference to the door height. It's just the height for the walls. And as it's an apex shed, you've got plenty of height in the middle. But 2 metres 30 for a shed is quite tall. And normally about 1.9 on the side walls. A pent shed would probably be about 2 metres 30 at the front, and then obviously it would slope back. Normally about 5-degree pitch on a pent. Oh, them 2 I'm cutting there, they was what I do. I actually make like a truss beam. Helps support the ridge. I did forget to cut them when I was cutting the 2010s. and this is the roof frame now. And these will be at 2310, so they'll run back to front. So they're not like rafters. I'll run them the other way, and I'll leave an overhang either end. So you've got your 2.1. It's 15mm cladding, so you add on 30 for the cladding back and front, and then I'll add on 90mm for back and front. So it's 2.1 plus your 90 plus 30. That's 90 back and front. There's an overhang on both gables. So it's 2.1 plus 180 is 2280 plus your 30 is 2310. There's 8 of these for the roof. Right, that's basically all the long stuff done. This is the header for the door. I said it's a 700 door. Obviously you're stepping in the studs either side of the door by 10mm. So this will be cut at 680. Right, I'll put a stopper on here now, and I'll cut the 34 pieces of cladding for either side of the door, 17 either side, at 550. So now I'll just use the offcuts. So it's the same thing, just clamp the stopper on. So anyone can build one of these in their back garden or in their garage. You don't really need that many tools. And as for a bench, you can set up something on a trestle with a bit of ply or some 4x2, and you can still use stoppers to make it quick. Now I'm changing down and doing the 12 at 530. and these go either side of the window or the windows. I won't change the stopper here. I'll do the same as what I did before. I'll put a spacer between the stopper and the cladding. I'll slide that up, then I'll use an offcut just to run a piece off to make up the difference. Seem to have lost that. Yeah, I'll just cut another one. It's obviously flew off somewhere. So now I've run off 12 of them that size. That's 530 for either side of the windows. Right, there's more offcuts from the studs or the rails. Now these are for top and bottom of the windows. So I'll do the windows 450. So I'll cut these at 450. Again, I won't move the stopper. I'll cut the first one and then put a spacer in between. And just use another offcut. Right, that's that. I'll get on with building a panel and try and record that. This is all the components you need to build one shed. .1 metres by 6, 2.1 metres by 1.8 or 7 by 6. That's just for the left side. It's got 2 windows going in it. That's for the right side. This don't include, oh yeah, it does include the studs, sorry, there are the 4 studs there. That's for the back, and that doesn't include the studs because it's an apex, so I'll cut them as I put the frame together. That's for the front. Loads of short ones, 34, to go either side of the door. That doesn't include the studs either. Them 6 are for the floor, plus you've got about a sheet and a half of OSB. Them 2 there are for a truss beam to help support the ridge. And them 8 there are for the roof, plus roughly 2 sheets of OSB. You've still got the corner trims soffits and fascias, which all have to be run down. I'll do them at a later date.